Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Three Coaches and One Topic. Today, I'm joined by Wendy and Garanay, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their business and their niches. And then we will get on to the topic that we're just going to discuss. And it is an open conversation. It's not meant to be structured in any way. And we will be sharing things of past experiences, maybe things that have come up with our clients and in our coaching business. And hopefully at the end, we can give you one or two coaching tips and tools that you can walk away with. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Wendy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Wendy, and I head up the Embrain Me community. Embraining is connecting the heart intelligence with the head, but also with the gut as well. So it's a fabulous modality. I teach it to coaches. I use it for one-on-one coaching sessions, and yeah, it's my magic and sparkles.
And you also do NLP, don't forget.
Oh yes, I do NLP as well. I do so much. I like variety.
Awesome. Garanay.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Garine. I'm the founder of Gratifying Wellness. I am functional medicine health coach, so more on the physical aspects of well-being, helping my clients to adopt different mindset and habits that would help them become healthier. That's in a nutshell.
And you do, very much so. I use you personally with all my health problems.
Way I can.
Oh, right. Okay, and I am Donna Burfield. I am a certified and accredited life coach. My business is Joy and Purpose Coaching. I love anything that's joyful. I try to inject it in every area of my life, and I love working with parents because I have been a teacher for 26 years and a mother for 24. I also run Coaches Supporting Coaches, and we focus on connection, support, and having a ethical and professional coaching practice. So without further ado, I am going to jump straight in and put the wheel up. Here we go. So let's see what topic we're going to talk about today. Resilience versus entitlement. Which is funny because we were just talking about that. Okay, let me remove that and put us back up on the screen. Okay, so what comes to mind? We always start off with what's our interpretation, our definition of resilience and entitlement. So we can have that quite brief, and then we'll go into more of a discussion. I don't mind whoever wants to go first.
And there's silence. Okay, I can start off with resilience. For me, that's much more about our bounce back ability. I think in life, we're not living if we don't face challenges, because they're always going to come up. They're always pretty much guaranteed. But it's how we deal with them, when we get knocked back and things don't go to plan, how we sort of recover and pick ourselves up and move forwards. So to me, that defines resilience. Entitlement is more about expecting things to be given to you or things to happen in a certain way. That's what it means to me.
Yeah.
Garino, help.
Yeah. Well, I attended a nice Hike Plus workshop just 2 weeks ago with another fellow coach in the CSE community, Irene, and it was about building resilience in children. So when you say resilience, okay, oh goodness, yes. That's the future that I want for my children. Yes, I want them to bounce back. I want them to be able to handle any situation that comes up. And during that workshop, it was clear to me that, I should not shield them and protect them from the outside environment and what possibly could go wrong or what could possibly hurt them. They need to be out there, they need to live their life, they need to experiment and learn how to come up stronger. So, and that of course applies to adults. We all need to be resilient and, instead of breaking, you just find a way to become better at what you're doing. And entitlement, well, if we're thinking about the children, then again, it's more of, instant gratification. I want it now, just because I said so. And that will not get you anywhere in the real world. It will affect your relationships, and it will not help you to move forward. And the same, of course, applies to adults. And there are many adults that we meet who have that kind of mindset. It's just me. So, and I will get what I want.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I actually did a workshop. Oh, crikey, it was last year now, I think. Was it last year? But anyway, for children regarding resilience and entitlement. With being a teacher for such a long time, I saw a lot of that. And I saw a lot of parents feeling very, very frustrated that their children are not independent and they're tired now of having to do everything. So it is definitely a skill that needs to be adopted from a very, very, well, when they're not really from when they're born, but from about a year old, then you can start building that, that resilience muscle. So for me, it is about building that muscle. It's about self-regulating, self-reliance, self-respect, and it promotes resourcefulness. Whereas when one is entitled, one is not resourceful, you're actually taking away their freedom of choice, and being able to grow, being able to fail, being able to build up their core values and set boundaries. Because again, with anybody who's entitled, they have that skew-whiff look at where boundaries are and what you should be doing for me. So yeah, that's my take on it. I have quite strong opinions about those too. But okay, so we'll get back to the children later, because I think it's really important of how we can set those boundaries and help children to be resourceful and not afraid to take risks and chances. But let's look at it in a work setting. You have certain members of staff that turn around and say, well, why aren't you doing this for me? Why aren't you doing that? And it's not fair. So-and-so gets it, and so forth. So how do you think we can decrease that sense of entitlement and, promote resilience and that drive to be more resourceful?
I think one of the key things is, as leaders and business owners, we can't expect our teams to have the same passion that we have. So, it's setting up the dynamic. We can't expect them to, be super passionate and work 18 hours a day when that's not what they've signed up for. So I think it's clarifying the expectations and why are people doing what they're doing. I think that would be a key one to explore and start the engagement, have conversations.
Yeah, well, coming from the corporate world, I've seen that a lot, especially with the junior staff that we had. And, they talk among each other and okay, and then when someone gets a bonus, or why I didn't get the bonus, what's happening? So I think in a workplace, there should be clear policies and regulations how someone will get rewarded. And then everyone will understand that if they put in the work, then they will get something. So no one will get a reward just, by coming and saying hello and drinking coffee in the office. Sometimes, when someone joins a workplace, they will automatically get into the culture that's existing and they will fit in. But some people will come in with that attitude of entitlement already and will need some time to break into the culture and understand, okay, no, things are done differently. It is clear what I need to do. So clear communication, policy is very important in the workplace. And then at the same time, there needs to be support from the leaders for the employees. Because if someone does a mistake, a failure, and they feel, oh goodness, they are not worthy, and I'm just gonna fail in every possible task, and I don't deserve this responsibility. Everybody goes through imposter syndrome and feeling they are not good enough. But if there is adequate support system in the workplace to see, okay, why did this happen? Does the employee need to upskill, for example, learn new things, shadow someone in the office? So how could we support this employee to build their resilience? Because as you mentioned, Donna, it's a muscle that you need to train and make stronger. So support is important.
Yeah. And also one of the things is it depends on the area of the job that or what job type you do. Because look, if you're in education or you're in healthcare and you've got one-to-one patients and so forth, you can't just end at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and say that's it. Okay. And anybody that goes into education knows, yes, we do get those breaks. We get a long summer and stuff. However, that's also when you can be more resourceful and turn around and say, okay, I've got 2.5 months off. I'm going to dedicate 2 weeks to, I know what's coming in the first term. I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to organize myself. Instead of turning around and saying, well, actually, I'm entitled for 2.5. And when that school bell goes, I'm on the plane. And when I've got to do inset day, I actually fly back in on the same day. So again, it is about compromise and finding out from people what's their understanding of their job, time that they need to do, and effort that need to be put in. And sometimes you've got to go out of those time frames. So I think that's quite important to remember. It's not like if you're working as a checkout person, you can hand in your card, walk home and forget about all the customers. What are your thoughts on that?
Mindset. Is it a mindset or is it a work ethic? I'm thinking about it. We need to make sure that we're employable. If I think back to my grandfather, he had 2 jobs in his whole life. So back many years ago, you used to go start a role as an apprentice and work your way up, and you'd be with that company for your whole lifespan until you retire. You get the golden handshake and the watch and whatever. If I think about my father, he had 3-4 different jobs. I've had 8 or 9, and I haven't finished yet. So I think the younger generations than me, I know people that change jobs every 2 years. So I think the world is changing so quickly. It's having to adapt and to make sure that we're employable, because there are jobs now. What's the sayings about what people are learning at university is going to be, or what they're learning at school is going to be redundant and out of date when they start working. And it's like, wow.
And yet they're going back, though. They are now looking at, promoting more apprenticeships and looking at people's characters and mental well-being and resilience on interviews and not just taken face value if you've got a load of degrees.
Yeah.
Because are you a person, you know, I mean, it was like Sylvia did that workshop that was very, very good with regards to reputation and so forth. So companies are now going back and saying, this is what we're missing. We are missing people that are engaged instead of just being employed. So they're just trying to get a paycheck at the end of the day and then move on to something that they think is going to be better.
Yeah.
So I think that is key, Donna, that the employee should have some passion, you know, maybe it will not match the business owner's passion, but they need to believe in what they are doing, that there is value that they are providing, and they feel fulfilled from doing this job. If this is lacking, then no matter what you do, you know, it's 5 o'clock, they will leave the office, they don't care what's happening, especially now with the trends of, you know, having more work-life balance and harmony. And the younger generations are definitely feel more entitled than our generations. So it is real. So you need to understand this and find ways to engage the employees and you know, so that they enjoy what they are doing and it's not just a job.
Yeah, and it's a fine balance. And I think, as you said, you know, but this is where it comes down to mindset, Wendy, when you were asking, is this mindset or engagement? Basically, when you go, you know, we've got an option. I have to, or I get to. Okay. So whether you're working what's deemed in other people's eyes as a lower paid scale, you know, job, they're still providing food, shelter, education for their families. Okay. So whatever job you've got, if at that particular time, if you're having to clean toilets or whatever, if you're going in with that mindset of, this is just a stepping stone, this is not permanent, but right now it's allowing me and it's enabling me to do this, that, and the other. Again, that takes away that entitlement where you would then sit back and say, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for that job that's got this, 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 and this. And it's building resilience.
Yeah, my first job, summer holidays from school, I worked at a water sports centre, and my first job of the day was black rubbish bag and go and clean the beach. I mean, what people leave on a beach are just shocking. Yeah, so that was the worst job of the day, and then, you know, it got fun, but there were always opportunities. So if it was a quiet day, I could, you know, I learned to water ski, and so much happened within that first summer because there's always opportunities to grow. If you grab them, if you look for them, if you volunteer, if you know, get curious. So I think, but that's more how things were when I was, you know, an early teenager. We all had summer jobs. We all had to do something to contribute. It was never, you know, if we didn't earn our own money, then, you know, we didn't have anything. So I think a lot of it all comes back to environment as well. But those are back in the days where the world seemed a safer place. My mum wasn't worried about me going off. It was like, oh, kids go off and play, and you come home when the street lights come on. That's the way it was. There was no mobile phones. There was no, just go off and play. Go off and keep yourself busy, entertain yourself. So, yeah.
Oh, Gareth, what was your first job? As you've mentioned your job, Wendy, and that's a nice way to start. What was your first job? If you don't mind sharing, of course.
Yeah, well, I worked for a company that did some, you know, statistical work and mystery shopping. So, you know, I would go as a customer into shops and then report them. exactly. And I always, I was petite and looked younger, so I would go in there and they would think, oh, just a teenager coming in. I wasn't a teenager, really, early university years, and some people were professional, others were really totally disastrous, and I had to be honest in my report. So, and it wasn't that easy because I need to go places I'm not accustomed to, and talk with strangers, and then start conversation in a way that I can get all the checklists done, ask about everything possible, and so, but it paid well.
Yeah.
I got my pocket.
They do pay well. I just can't see you doing that job. I love it. Well, my first job, I have been working with children since the age of 13, so nearly, oh my gosh, 39 years. Yes, I'm that old. And so I've always wanted to work with children. But my first proper job where I got a paycheck was in a coffee shop, and it was in a hardware store called W.H. Smith's. And they had a coffee bar where they used to do like Sunday fry-ups and all these quick and easy cholesterol, heart attacks waiting to happen foods. And you would have hated it, Garane. So yeah, I worked there and I learned an awful lot. However, again, I think that's that fighting spirit in me as well. I always saw this as a stepping stone to something greater. So what can I take from this? And I was 15 and I was going to school full time. I left school at 16 and I carried on there, and I became a stand-in manageress at 16 years of age, because I just wanted to learn everything. I just wanted, what can I take from this that's going to move me forward? And I used nothing but the people skills and that backbone. So, yeah. So, right. So childhood, how can we support children with that backbone and having that mindset?
I don't know. For me, I think it's starting off by giving them choices. You can do this or you can do this, and if you do this, you're going to get this, this, and this, but you're not going to be able to do this, this, and this. So they start making decisions for themselves. I think that would be a key place. And I will put my hands up. I am not an expert in the children department. I have an adopted son and a godson, but I'm not a parent myself. So limited experience in that department.
But a wealth of experience with talking to people that who are parents who are going to be struggling not only to support and help their children, but they're struggling with themselves as well.
Yeah. I'd say sort of, I think things start with giving them responsibilities, and that starts with giving them a choice rather than doing everything for them, which I've seen a lot of.
Yeah. Garane, what's your take?
I think from the age that they are starting to learn how to walk, if they fall, it's okay. You shouldn't, like, as a parent, panic or say, oh no, you're hurt, and do the drama. It's okay. You fell. Now you come up and try again. And if you apply this for every situation, then they will learn that it is okay to fall. It is okay to do a mistake. It is okay, someone mean talks to me or bullies me. But the important is what I do with that.
Yeah.
And build a personality to be independent, to be confident, and that would feed their resilience. If you keep them in a sterile bubble, then they will not have any real life experiences, and they will not grow that resilience. And I see so many. Yeah. I see also entitlement a lot in the little children, and again, that comes from how the parents are raising and what is the vision they have for their children. Some parents do want to have spoiled children and have everything easy, and that's what they want for their children, for various reasons. But then again, what will be the future if something happens? If they don't have access to what they wanted, how would they react in that moment? Are they gonna throw a tantrum? You cannot really throw a tantrum when you are 25 years old. So
no. Well, you can, but it's not going to look very good.
Yeah, so I think real life experiences is important from young age, and know that it is okay to try again and try different things.
Yeah, well, as you were talking, there were several things that just came up for me. I watched a documentary a while ago, and she was about 25, and her parents died when she was about 23. I think it was a car crash or something. They were extremely rich. However, they had a lot of debt. When they died, she was left with nothing. And she had grown up, getting into her adult life, cars, credit card, do what you want, pay what you want, absolutely everything. And now it was just like she's being born again, and she's having to learn absolutely everything. And whilst obviously she loved her parents, of course, but there was a little bit of anger and resentment with regards to, I don't know what to do. And that's your job, is to prepare me for the future. So I think there is a fine line. And, whilst there's so many parenting books out there, when you are parenting, it can be overwhelming. You've got your health, financial, your relationships, and all those things as well. However, I think if you keep in the back of your mind what life skills and resources will my children need so they can be productive human beings. And, that's, in my eyes, we give birth, we nurture, and then we hand them over to them and say, this is your life. We've done the first aid kit, off you go. And hopefully they'll make, good choices. And if they don't, then they'll learn from them. So, yeah. So that's what came up for me.
Yeah, but preparing them with life skills is important. And I think for me, the key part is to have a clear vision of what kind of person you want your child to be in the future as a grown-up, as an adult. And to be that person, what kind of skills they would need, and what they should experience. So you start from there. I think this is important because, my firstborn are twins, and for me it was important to raise them as unique individuals, not a package of two. And they needed to be independent and confident and strong, and each of them to understand their strength points and appreciate the other no matter what. Yeah. So that's what I worked on. That was my focus. And I also learned, of course, things from my childhood. I am ashamed to say, when I got married and had my own, home, and I needed to cook for myself, I couldn't even crack an egg. I didn't have that experience. I was kind of spoiled in terms of kitchen work. Mm-hmm. And so I did the reverse with my children. From the age of 2, they are in the kitchen, helping with everything. And now they can prepare a full meal. They can feed themselves anytime. They don't need to rely on me. And soon, in a few years' time, they will go to college. I don't know where they would be. They will be able to take care of themselves. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you mentioned that. It's like when my daughter left to go to university. Well, before she left Dubai, she did 2 years of self-defense. And for me, so I'm not your, other people were taking their children, their daughters for nail spa and hair and all this lot shopping. And I'm like, no, we're doing self-defense. And I was thinking, what life skills, even if you never use them, but if you do it long enough, and she did it for 2 years. So, so there was that sort of thing, the cooking, budgeting, all those things I felt were really important for her to be a productive person and dependent and not have to get into that mindset of being dependent on a man. So, well, obviously being divorced, it was just like, no, you don't need a man. You'll be fine. So, all right, before we sign off, is there any tools, coaching tools that you can share for anybody that's listening that will help build that muscle for resilience?
I'd say, go on, Gary. I need to think. I need more thinking time.
I think my advice would be to watch your self-talk. Mm-hmm. So in every situation, what you say to yourself matters, because that would, if you repeat something, you will actually believe it and it will become a truth. So you're going through difficult time. Yes, I'm going through difficult time at this time. What do I learn from this opportunity? What can I do different? Who could I ask for help? And build from there, instead of just saying, oh, I'm just bad at this, I will never be able to do it, and I just want to isolate myself and not interact with anyone. That will not get you anywhere. So watch the self-talk and rephrase what you're feeling. So I'm feeling overwhelmed. Yes, okay, that's a part. I'm feeling overwhelmed now, but I will be fine tomorrow. I will do this tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah. Wendy, have you had enough time to think with those many NLP coaching tools?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for me, I'd say what's popped up for me, because we've spoken a lot about children and sort of growing up and learning and stuff. Don't be in a hurry to find the right job for you. You need to go out there and try different things, experiment. So it's taking up different hobbies. It's doing the self-defense class. What do you like? What do you not like? So rather than, I'm thinking back to, I had a careers interview when I was age 15, 16, just before I left school. I didn't have a clue. Well, Wendy, what do you enjoy doing? Do you know what I said? I like water skiing. And that's where I was at that time. I didn't know. Well, it's keep being curious, keep experimenting, try different things, and keep learning, keep growing.
I'm sorry, I'm giggling because when I was younger, when I was about 15, I think it was when I was about 15. Garane, you might not know this, but in the UK, there was a show called The Brides of Christ, and Russell Crowe was in it. It was an Australian show, and there was about these young girls that go and become nuns. Now, I'm not religious. I don't come from a religious background, but I was really taken with this film, this show, and I was just like, I really want to become a nun. But not just any nun. I wanted to go and work in Africa and help with the children and the orphanages. So whilst that didn't take off, it's kind of like gone in a funny circle for me. I feel like I'm living like a nun right now, but that's a whole different topic. But I love the fact that, I always said to the students when I was for the year 12s and 13s, your present situation is not your final destination. Mm-hmm. And you have got so many years for this is your time to experiment, to trial and error, you don't have, a wife or husband and kids and mortgage and all these responsibilities. Find what lights you up and brings you joy, and you'll get there. You want to go to work. You want to be part of the team. You want to contribute. And when you find that, then you're on the right path for you, not for your parents, not for other people, for you. So that is your time. That's the beauty of being in your teens and early 20s. You've got that luxury. So that's my tip, is as well on the backside of you two, is saying, go out and explore and experiment and, in legal, healthy ways. You know what I mean? Disclaimer. Yeah. Donna said. So, yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking part in this conversation again. As I said, we never know what topic we're going to be talking about. And it just kind of steered, I suppose, to children, because if you build that muscle from an early age, then everybody benefits in the long run. So once again, thank you so much. And if you want any information about how to get in contact with myself or Wendy and Garane, there's a write-up and their link tree is there, so you can reach out to them. So thank you very much, everyone. And I hope you have a very good evening. Thank you, guys.
Good evening.